Hello and welcome to Infinifactory, which is in early access, and it is a three-dimensional puzzle game about building factories, as you probably discovered. It's actually fairly good. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there. You can store up to 3 solutions, as you can see here. I've actually done quite a few of them, but the game is getting remarkably difficult. I'm stuck on figuring out wave detection and javelin. I just finished this one. You know, that's probably the best I'm gonna get because my brain doesn't know how to function properly, but we're gonna go ahead and start at the front here. The general idea for this game is that you have inputs, in this case these 3 things here, and you can see the inputs down there. So one of those blocks, and one of those. And then you have outputs that are desired by the game. It is a puzzle game. So in this case, it wants this block to go here. So we can do that, hit the go button, and then all of those blocks will go over there. And we will complete that. But all these other blocks are just going to keep doing that, and that's not going to do us any good. So we then have to get those blocks to where they want to go. This block right here actually comes from over here, so we have to get this one to go across. And this is the first puzzle. It's not complicated at all. Blocks need some form of support, but it doesn't have to be any realistic logical support, so you don't need to worry too much about that. In this case, the support comes from that piece right there. So if I play it, it holds itself up. These blocks go over here, they drop off down onto that conveyor, if I placed it correctly, and go into there. So that completes both of those for us. We still have this one to deal with though. And the first time you actually come through this puzzle, you only have these conveyor belts. So the solution that I'm going to do right here would not actually work if you were doing this for the first time, because you don't actually have the blocks to do this with. So do bear that in mind. You need to be facing that way. Actually, I've noticed a flaw with that system there. I need you to go that way, and then across. Herpter. I'm an engineer. So now, we hit the button, we can hold fast forward, and all of the blocks will get to their respective areas, and it will finish. That was actually better than before. Good job, me. Now, this being a puzzle game, you're meant to min-max this as much as you possibly can. So, you need to min-max in terms of footprint, so number of blocks actually used, as well as time taken. You can change the input rate, which will adjust the time taken. In this case, it'll spit out a ton of blocks and finish really fast. So there you go. So now we have 44 cycles instead of 53 because our input rate was a lot faster. Our blueprint, though, hasn't changed, and so you'd have to try and figure out some way, because as you can see based on this chart here, someone figured out a way to make this a smaller footprint. Now, how they did that, I don't really know. There's probably something simple where I can trim off 1 or 2 blocks here or there, but I don't really know off the top of my head, so that's the general gist of it. So you can go through these puzzles, and I'm going to go through a bunch of easy puzzles, because they're easy, they explain stuff for me. Go through all these puzzles and min-max your way to victory. Now this puzzle tasks us with doing some welding. It wants those 2 blocks. Now, logically, if you didn't actually look at this and figure out what it wants by going to the block list, which I already have all the blocks, so it doesn't matter. All the blocks currently, there's more, I just don't have them yet. When you look at this, you would think it just wants these 2 blocks side by side. So you'd put some lines here. For instance, if I just did this, we're going to delete this in a second because that doesn't work and it's also terribly efficient. Both of those blocks come down there together exactly like they do in the picture, but it complains about it because it is wrong. So we do not want that. What we need to actually do is weld the blocks together. So we do some of that, and then we put a block there. Do we even need a block there? I'm curious if we need a block there, so we're going to leave that empty. And then we need some welders. In this case, the welders are these things right here. Now any two blocks that pass through there together will weld together. And because they're welded together, we, despite physics not actually recommending this, we can just have one conveyor belt down that way. There we go. It works. It does not twerk, but it does twerk, and this actually counts as what it needs. Now what I've technically done here is I've put this here, and you might have noticed the blocks stop. I don't think that's actually needed, but it doesn't, I don't think it slows it down any. Well, maybe it does actually. Let's see if it works like this real quick. It does. Alright, we'll just leave it like that. We don't need a block there because apparently it welds before it falls off, and despite physics telling you it'd fall off anyway, it continues down that way. So there you go, that's the general gist. And we can increase the input rate, see if that breaks it. It shouldn't. No. So we have created a factory, which apparently is just about as good as you can get it, as it turns out, that welds two blocks together and sticks it over there. So good news. Yeah, we'll just continue going down like this. This is the general gist of the game. It basically tasks you with doing these things progressively. And this is telling you how to stack 3 blocks together, which is not a complicated system by any stretch of the imagination. Basically, it tells you how to do the puzzle. We need this, but then we also need 3 blocks like that. We have a jetpack, by the way, so we can fly around, we can go up and down, we can kill ourselves, like that. It doesn't actually do anything. The game tells you in some weird alien language to stop falling off of cliffs like an idiot. It doesn't actually do anything, but hey, there it is. And this will, in theory, create the device that we need. So if I hit the button, it'll weld those two, weld that one, and then it'll push itself along. Which is exactly how it should work, and logically how it does work. So there you go. Now, if we increase the input rate, I don't know if that'll still work. It should. Yeah. So that's that puzzle. These puzzles are extremely easy at the early game. There's really nothing to them. It's just figuring out basic mechanics. Someone apparently did that in less cycles than that. I'm not sure how, but someone did. And less of a footprint. I'm not sure about that either. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how you would make that less of a footprint, but we'll just move on. We're going to go through probably all of the Proving Grounds puzzles, and then I'm going to show what's going on in this puzzle because it's ridiculous. At least to my poor pea brain. So this one actually tasks us with falling off the side of the level, but it also tasks us with vertically welding 2 blocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that there, that there. We're going to put a block there. And then we're going to put 2 welders stacked on top of each other. And that should, without any alteration, function perfectly at this cycle rate. I don't know if we can increase the cycle rate, though we will check that. Basically all I'm telling it to do is this block falls, moves over, sits there, and waits for this one to fall. Hits it, and then it does whatever. He actually did less cycles than me. What happens if we increase the input rate? That probably breaks it. Yeah, because... yeah. So you'd have to create some way... I don't know how to do that at max input rate. I'd have to figure that out. You'd have to do some way to, get them to stack a lot faster. Actually, I could stack them up at the top, maybe, and then drop the whole welded stack down. That might be a thing, I don't know. This one's a little bit weird, and the solution I actually used for it physically shouldn't work, but it does. So this one tasks you with welding a triple weld in a very weird shape. And it's kind of an annoying shape. It needs this block to be here. It needs that block to be there, that one to be there, and this one to be over here. Now if we do this, they will all stack up to each other perfectly fine. And then obviously they're not welded, so they're just going to push each other off in a kind of cool looking formation. I like that. Anyway, that's not going to do anything though. We need welders, and welders that function in... Kinda has to be... I think it has to be here. There's probably a better position for this, but if we do that, it'll weld them together. The problem arises when it does this. Also, it's building horrendously welded shapes. The problem I had was it does that, which this will work. I have to actually move it slightly over. This will work, just not very efficiently, because sometimes they wiggle and kind of get stuck on each other and it forces itself out eventually, but that'll work. I'd have to figure out some better way to do that. Apparently that was better than last time. I'm not sure how I would do that. I could try welding these two together and then meeting it up with this one and then welding that and then moving that along, but I think that might be a bigger blueprint, and I don't want a bigger blueprint. There's also these guys. These are failure logs. That is apparently the failure log of a dog. The failure logs are in no way, shape, or form helpful, which is kind of disappointing, but hey, whatever. And then there's the performance review, which I don't care about because I've already seen it. So let's go ahead and show off shuttle propulsion units really quick because it's a thing that transpired. Oh wait, no, this is the one that actually works fairly well. Yeah, this is the one that works fairly well. So for this one, it tasks you with building a 2-weld and a 3-weld off of a single input, which in this case wasn't actually that difficult, so this is basically what happens. Now there's new parts here. There's this. Plop ourselves down right here. Hello. There's this thing right here. This is a sensor. Whenever something passes in front of that sensor, it sends a pulse. As you can see through that line there, it sends a pulse to this pusher. Also, this is a horribly inefficient line, but it works, so whatever. It sends a pulse to this pusher, and that tells it to push a block over this way, and then when two blocks line up, it welds, just like we've seen before with the triple and double welds. Put a block so it waits. And it'll push itself off, you know how it goes. So this works, but it has an electrical system, as you can see there. Is that at max? Yeah, that is max input. The electrical system is fairly simple, but it works. You can have a single sensor hooked up to as many pushers as you want. I'm just going to make a line of pushers over here that do nothing, by the way. Let's just have a big old block of pushers. There you go. So you can have a single sensor hooked up to as many other things as you want. Or, as far as I'm aware, a single pusher hooked up to as many other sensors as you want. So when that sensor fires, it'll do that. But let's say we have a whole bunch of sensors. I don't know, by the way, if it works like this. Let's test it. No, it doesn't work like that. The conduit has to be touching all of them. So it has to be doing that. And this must be touching that. You don't need to touch that though. Alright. So now, every time, this is going to break it by the way, but every time one of these sensors detects a block, that pusher fires. And it will stay fired because there's always going to be a block on at least one of these sensors. So this isn't going to work anymore. But that kind of shows how the electrical wiring sensor conduit bollocks works. It's not complex. It's actually fairly simple. It's the munitions refill that I wanted to show, by the way. Here we are. So this, and my terrible means of dealing with it, I wonder if it works on max. I don't know. This is another failure log. This tasks you with a single input into 3 outputs. They're all 1 block outputs, so you don't need to weld anything, but this was basically the advanced tutorial for this. Pushers, that's what it was. Advanced tutorial for pushers. So I have a single sensor down here hooked up to 2 pushers. And the idea and the way this works, it's really inefficient, but hey, it works, whatever, is that, I'm not sure that's actually going to work anymore, but we'll see, is that this thing detects a block. This is how this works. It's really stupid, but they push off, it detects all of these blocks. Yeah, that's too fast. About +1. It's actually the exact same speed. Either way, it detects those blocks as they fall off over there, and it tells both of these pushers to then push a whole series of other blocks to the other 2 lines. Now there is a way I could make this more efficient. If I raise where this pusher is by 2 blocks, you'll notice something here. It always leaves 2. If I raise that pusher by 2 blocks, then I think it'll work better, but, you know, that's the idea. In fact, let's actually try that. This is a whole lot of trial and error in this game, so we don't technically need you, because conduits count as support for whatever reason. So if we raise the pusher up 2, the pusher was right here. So 1, it would put it up there, so we'll put the pusher like so. That's a weird conduit system, but whatever. We'll put the pusher like so. We don't actually want to do that, do we? We want to do that. That should support itself, right? Let's see if that actually does it any better than what we were doing before. It'll still stack boxes, but it's going to stack less boxes. But yeah, see, it clears the stack entirely. Let's see if it actually finishes it in any fewer cycles. I doubt it will. It did, actually. It was 6 less cycles. There's some way that I'm not understanding in how to split 1 input into 3 outputs evenly without doing it like this, but, you know, it seems to work alright for me. It's a very weird system, but it works, and it makes me kind of happy that it does, so. But there's people all the way down here at like 50 cycles, and I have no idea how they're doing that, but whatever. Let's go ahead and show something like this one, because it's ridiculous. So this one gives you 2 inputs, a white block and like a weird connectory block thing, right there and right there. And it tasks you with making a very specific triple weld and then splitting that off in 2 directions. So I haven't actually figured out how to do this, and I'm probably not going to figure out how to do this live on camera, but basically what we need is we need this in the center. I actually don't know what speed they come out in. Okay, so 2 of those come out for every one of these. Exactly 2 of those? No, 3 of them it looks like. 1, 2, 3. So 3 come out for every one of those. So that's actually too many? Either way, basically what we need is something. What do we need? If we put you there, we put you there, that'll do more or less exactly what I want it to. If we do that, and then we do welders, like so, it'll weld what I need, and then we need to actually move it out a bit before we can push it this way, I think. What? Why are you... Maybe we don't need to move it out if it's going to do that then. So we just do this. No, but then it doesn't move at all. What? Do I need to do that and then this? What's going on with these little mover things? Okay, that works. I don't know why that works and the other one doesn't, but it does. So we have the shape we need. Now we need to split it evenly into 2 outputs. Now how would I do that? I'd probably need a sensor, or a pusher of some description, on a side that isn't this, but because of how this is working, I'm not sure what we're gonna do here. Because it comes out that way. What we could do is put a pusher here. That'll push when it senses something down this way. I don't know the exact number of block distance we need between the sensor and the pusher. We're actually going to need to figure that out by trial and error, so we're just going to do this. And that actually lines up perfectly to where that needs to go, so that's where that pusher's going. That will go... No, that doesn't line up, actually, because it's not centered. It's on one of the edges, isn't it? It's on this edge. So it needs to be like that, doesn't it? We're just gonna do a quick trial run here. No, it doesn't. God dang it, game, and your weird physics. It needs to be on this side. So how the game works, alright. So that'll go that way, it'll come over here. It'll plop down there. That sensor, however, is not in the right location. The question, though, becomes where does it need to be? And realistically, I should probably count instead of doing trial and error, because that's not how you build factories, but we're gonna do trial and error. Aha! So that one comes through, pushes that one, but it's wrong. See, this pusher's in the wrong spot. Where is it pushing? Right on the edge. Needs to push. I don't suppose I can fix that just by moving these, could I? No, don't do that. That's the opposite of what I wanted to do. Suppose it won't fix it if I do that. That would be too easy. It's just gonna push it. Yeah, it's just gonna push it off. So it turns out that needs to be right there, which means we need to push the sensor one further over. No, not that. Don't put a block on top of the conveyor. That's not how that works. Oh, but wait, this one's wrong. Why? Was it... It was right before, wasn't it? Why is it wrong now? What is up with my conveyors? I swear that's how it went through there before, right? Oh, but now I forgot how many it was over. That would be 1, 2... Ah, balls. I forgot how many spaces this sensor was. I'll just put it here, see if that works. You weld, you come over, you push that one, you both go through, you both go in. There we go. Now I don't think, despite the fact that this setup works, I don't think this is very efficient, and I don't think it would work at a higher cycle rate. Apparently you have to make a lot of these, good lord, that seems excessive. Well, it's a little bit better than the average on cycle rate. Squeaky Mouse actually beat me on that. I beat him on footprint though. About in the average on footprint, but slightly better than the average on cycle time. What happens... Oh, I gotta... that was alright. I found it interesting. I had fun solving it too. What if we increase the cycle rate on this? That is way too much. In fact, that's now just gonna build those. What about just +1? That still technically works. Is it any faster? I have no idea. Oh, but see what's going on with my conveyors now. Oh, the sensor gets offset because of the speed that the blocks are being built. So all I'd actually need to do is push the, well, I can't push the pusher over there. Could extend this path a little bit, that'll make the footprint a bit bigger though. Either way, that is that. That is the, this is gonna be my showcase of this game. There you go. Kangaroo Kickers 09. Before we leave, let's eat some pellets. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time.